Discovery, we have a brand spanking new show and we got a lot to get through. So first of all, we're going to the singles of this week, then we go into the new releases of this week as well for albums, and then I'm going to give you the albums I've explored. So let's kick off with the singles. It is Mushroom Head, Seen It All. Mushroom Head have finally released a song, Seen It All, from their new album Wonderful Life, which will be out sometime this month. I'm a bit on the fence with Mushroom Head. Their masks look fucking fantastic in this music video, and the music video is like 10 out of 10, but the song on the other hand is quite flat in my opinion. And the production on this particular song isn't that great. This song feels muddy, but it's got a catchy chorus. But man, I fucking love those masks. I really do. So the next single that just dropped was Bleed Within and their song Night Crossing featuring Matt HEAFY. This song is intense and I love the aggression. I love it, but I love the music video. The music video is very cool because you got them in isolation and each band member is doing its own thing. It's like they're on Skype or something and they're just jamming away. I love the fucking guitarist. The guitarist is in the bottom right and he is just fucking going nuts. Absolutely love how they're really getting into this song, but it's awesome. The vocals are so damn gritty that you just can't help really enjoy this song. I just love the energy, love the grittiness of those guitars, the intricate guitar riffs as well, that leads on to a really fucking awesome solo by Matt HEAFY. As Matt HEAFY comes into the chat, his solo is absolutely fantastic, conveys quite a lot of emotion. I just love it, and I just love those breakdowns throughout the song. This is a very good metalcore song. Okay, so the next single is Carach Angren and their song De Vampir non Nürnberg. This song is very interesting overall. You know Carach Angren has the theatrical symphonic vibe. It's none other than a symphonic cinematic black metal song. Do really enjoy his vocals on this. The song's very theatrical with many different synthesizers. Do really enjoy the overall flow of the song as well, not to mention those riffs. But overall, it's a pretty solid song by Carach Angren. Okay, and to finally end off, new single releases, it is Solitude to Prevail, Demolisher. Is an in-your-face fucking crazy deathcore song. It really is, but it is very intricate and there are so many different melodies, but yet it's quite melodic. Alex the Terrible's vocals are absolutely guttural. They are demonic as well. His vocal dynamics are fucking insane. But that breakdown, man, is one of the biggest breakdowns of the year in my opinion. I absolutely love that breakdown. The build up to the breakdown is very epic. Drumming is absolutely awesome. This is one of my favorite songs by Solitude to Prevail of all time. Demolisher is such an intense, in-your-face and quite aggressive deathcore song. So yeah, if you like deathcore, go check out Demolisher. So now we're going to the new album release. I did an album review for Ether Realm, Redneck Vikings from Hell. That was an awesome album. There has also been some pretty solid albums this week. So let's start off with the shitty albums of the week. Let's start off with the not so pleasant albums. And we're going to An Autumn for Crippled Children and their album All Fell Silence, Everything Went Quiet. Is definitely not everyone's cup of tea. I do like the atmospheric vibe throughout this album, but it does lack, and that is the overall production. The production is very weak. The vocals are too low in the mix in my opinion. They repeat the same monotonous riffs over and over again. I think the best song is Water's Edge. At least it's got a very interesting melody. But overall, this album doesn't do much for me, so I'm going to now put scores on Discovery for the new album releases. So with An Autumn for Crippled Children, giving this a 3 out of 10. So this is a pretty big album release. So we're talking about Havok and their album 5. Havok are a thrash metal band, in case you don't know, incorporating some really aggressive vocals. Now, I did listen to another Havok album and I thought it was fantastic. It was a really good album. So many different surprises throughout this album. And when I listened to 5, I felt nothing. I felt this is a pretty boring album, to be honest, and although it incorporates elements of thrash metal and different sort of genre types with different time signatures, quite proggy as well throughout some of these songs, this album felt flat in my opinion. I think the best song is Don't Do It. Because it's quite a long song as well, and there are some really nice acoustic elements throughout. But don't get me wrong, it's still a pretty good album. That's why it's going to be an above 5 rating. This is a very unpopular opinion, especially for a lot of reviewers. A lot of reviewers are saying that this is one of the best albums of the year, that this is definitely one of the best Havok albums, the best thrash metal album. That's bullshit, man. Warbringer is the best thrash metal album in my opinion, but Havok 5 lacks in its songwriting. If you repeat the same melody over and over again, it gets quite monotonous, gets quite boring, and I feel this album is a fucking long album, especially for a fucking thrash metal album. 46 minutes. At least I was pretty entertained listening to Warbringer, but for this Havok, I was a little bit bored. So for Havok 5, I'm gonna give this a 5 out of 10. Well, this is not going pretty well, because another album dropped which was quite abysmal in my opinion, and I don't mean to diss the band, but this band's gonna be dissed. The band is Yarrow, and the reason why I chose this album is because the album cover looked fucking fantastic. Look at that red crimson album cover, it was beautiful. We made what God could not. Released on Unholy Rub Records. Well, this record rubbed me the wrong way, that's for sure, because this album is really not very good. This is possibly one of the worst Doom albums I've ever heard in my life. What are they trying to fucking be? Ahab, they're trying to be Hooded Menace. At times they sound like Swallow the Sun, but in a really shitty way. This album is not very good. Old Shadows is an okay song, but to kick off with Ikizukuri, holy shit. I thought it was going to be deep, deaf, doomy growls, which you do get throughout this album, but throughout the start of Ikizukuri, you get yeah, like an old grandma upstairs saying, "Where's my fucking false teeth, cunts?" Possibly one of the worst albums I've heard the year. It's definitely up there with Danzig, definitely up there with Witch Taint, and up there with fucking Worm. This is one of the worst albums of 2020. Well, do check it out, but it's gonna rub you in the wrong way. Ocean's Rot is like trying to be Ahab or trying to be Hooded Menace, and they fail so wrong, especially when those guitars are like out of tune. And the production is horrible as well. Okay, I'm gonna stop dissing this album. We made what God could not. Giving this a 1 out of 10 because it was terrible. We move on to Vader, Solitude in Madness. So there's something positive I can finally say. I really enjoyed it. You know what? Vader sound like Vader. If you're a Vader fan and you want to check this out, you're going to say it sounds like Vader. Fantastic album, it really is. It's runtime. It runtimed about 29 minutes and it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's a pretty fast hitting thrashy, black and thrashed album, but they are death metal, but at times they do sound thrash. Incorporating those really harsh, aggressive vocals. Love the guitar solos. What can I say about Bones? Bones is one of the best Vader songs I've heard.
I want it dead. Get down to oblivion. Solitude in Madness.
Absolutely love it. But Incineration of the Gods, Into Oblivion, fantastic songs. And for Vader, Solitude and Madness, I'm going to give this probably a 7 out of 10. It was a fantastic album. Now we move on to Umbra, Vitae, and the album Shadow of Life. incorporating elements of grindcore throughout this album. It's a pretty heavy-paced, hard-hitting album as well, and very short songs. Overall, this album is a length of 26 minutes. This is a brutal death metal album incorporating elements of grindcore, but there are also some nice breakdowns. It just flows pretty well, at times incorporating some noisy elements, but the guitar tone throughout this album is quite gritty and it's quite heavy. Of course, the songs are pretty short, and these songs bleed into each other. Maybe this album is just one whole song. Lyrics overall are pretty good as well. For Umbra, Vitae, Shadow of Life, I'm giving this probably a 7 out of 10. Enjoyable album. Okay, to finally end off this new album releases, we are heading towards a new band called Make Them Die Slowly and their debut album, Ferox. Alright, so if you love a Now Nathrak, well, if you just love a Now Nathrak, you're gonna fucking well love this album. You really are, because Mick Kenny is actually part of this band, and I think he does the guitars. Mick Kenny is the mastermind of a Now Nathrak, one of my favorite bands. And I gotta say that Ferox was such a very enjoyable album, it really was. This is like a Now Nathrak light. It's not as hectic, it's not as crazy as a Now Nathrak, but can I just say Eden Live is probably one of the most closest to Now Nathrak songs you can get. But the chugging guitar riffs you're getting throughout this album, breakdowns and the grindy elements, incorporating elements of death metal, many different genre styles as well throughout this album, quite atmospheric. These vocals are not Dave Hunt's, they're another vocalist, and his vocals are pretty good as well. I love the high screams, but he's more of a harsh, aggressive vocalist. He doesn't incorporate any cleans throughout this album, but Ferox, fantastic fucking album, and this album oozes with melody. It really does, and I love the production. Production sounds very similar to Now Nathrak's albums, like A New Kind of Horror or even Hold the Law, or not as polished as Desideratium, but nearly as good as Vanitas, if you get what I mean with the production. Production's pretty crisp, production's pretty clean, but at times they incorporate gritty elements. So for Ferox, Make Them Die Slowly, giving this an 8 out of 10. Fantastic fucking album. Okay, so now we're going to the albums I've explored for this week. So the first album I explored was Behexen and their album The Poisonous Path. I do know Behexen, but I never checked out this album. My mate and I checked out this album, and we fucking loved it. It's a great album. If you like black and death metal, at times incorporating elements of black metal, you're gonna really love this. If you like Gore or even Behemoth, you're gonna really love Behexen. They flow very well together, they really do, and it's just a vibe of how aggressive this album is. Very atmospheric and at times very experimental, but his vocals are on another level on this album. I just love The Poisonous Path, it's great. So then I checked out some more black metal, Immortal, At the Heart of Winter.
Your deepest realms on fire, with song that's old eternally.
Fantastic album. The fucking album cover looks magnificent as well. Absolutely really enjoy Immortal. Withstand the Fall of Times, absolutely fantastic song. Years of Silent Sorrow, but it's the overall, some at times orchestral elements throughout this album just makes it quite epic. This album is so damn catchy, it really is, especially those guitar riffs and Abba's vocals. So coming now is finally some power thrash metal, you could say. It's Iced Earth, the Dark Saga. I enjoyed this album, really did. What I do have is a pet hate for the songs that have the same sort of melody, especially for the last 3 songs. It's sort of like a suite. I do appreciate it. Why couldn't they just make it one song, in my opinion? I mean, it's good to have nice, long, epic songs now and again, but having 3 songs, the same sort of melody, same sort of guitar riffs, yeah, you should have put it in one song. Should have put a one epic long song. I think it's for the people that had low retention rate to incorporate 3 songs, which have the same sort of melody, in my opinion. You could say this is sort of a suite. Alright, some more black metal now, and what can I say? It's Mare, Cognitum and Spectral Law and the album Soul. split album, but my god, this album is a journey. It really is. And I absolutely love this album. You can just imagine you're floating in space. You are on a space journey, a black metal space journey. It's absolutely fucking fantastic. They released an album called The Astrologies of the Wanderers. The Astrologers of the Wanderers or something this year, which is an absolutely amazing album. And I love how the cinematic vibe at times, the overall bands themselves are so damn tight and cohesive. Go check it out. And finally, it's Cannibal Corpse, Gore Obsessed. Wow, this album is so damn fun. Savage butchery. Hatchet to the head. Absolutely love it, especially those guitar riffs throughout this album and the crazy thrashy vibes as well, incorporating elements of death metal, but it's brutal as fucking anything. It's still not as good as The Bleeding, nowhere near as good as The Bleeding, but Gore Obsessed stays true to that Cannibal Corpse sound, and it's a fantastic album. So guys, that's it for Discovery. I hope you did enjoy it. Wow, and absolutely another big week of Discovery. Some really good albums as well, but some really mediocre albums. So yeah, comment below your favorite albums as well throughout this week. And do you agree with my opinions of what albums are you going to check out, and have you checked out any new releases? Come on guys, let's keep the discussion fucking going. We will see you in the next Discovery.